Welcome back to So Media. We're back with episode 5 of season 5 of The Boys on Prime Video. And this was a doozy episode in more ways than one. I think we got like, 6 or 7 character study episodes in one or something like that,
including terror.
Which I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the whole series. Not only because of you have cool cameos and we have a supernatural fan. You're gonna love this episode. But the way this episode was structured, I think we have not really seen this in The Boys ever. In terms of focusing on each individual character in a sequence that leads up to a plot point within the episode that kind of coming to who they are, but also some characters who we haven't really understood their backstory other than through passing or through conversation, and then we completely understand no, this person's actually struggling, and yet they honestly compromise their integrity and then end up they got what they deserve. And I just say this as a Christian and stuff. Again, as much as this show is very secular and all the sexual stuff and all this worldly stuff, whatever you want to call it, all that stuff. The fact that I think I have not seen today a accurate depiction of what an eternal struggle of a Christian is going through in America, while also compromising their idealistic values in politics, comparing to the actual faith in the God that they believe in. And the struggles where it's like you can pick and choose, and knowing that you're compromising your faith for the sake of a political agenda. And again, now some people might feel that on the opposite end, regardless whatever political spectrum you might be. But I thought it was very fascinating that even seeing that on a quote unquote hard right conservative, that they're dealing with the struggle of their faith, compared to when you have this egotistical person in office trying to say no, I am Lord, and that and then I just felt that was very good. But what was your thoughts on that, Phil, in terms of the themes of now we're pushing Homelander into becoming Lord or God, right? And they're just feeding this agenda, even though they all know it's BS, but they're still going along with it anyway.
So I am born and raised conservative, even though I don't identify as that anymore. I will say that witnessing someone like Firecracker kind of not necessarily go through a crisis of faith, but a crisis of ideology. You don't really see too much of that in our current political climate, but you do see some of it, given the current events of the world, especially in the United States, given who's in office at the moment. So, again, as I commonly love to say, my go-to phrase these days is art imitating life and vice versa. I think what was going through Firecracker's mind and what she's going through throughout the episode is very indicative of a lot of people who may or may not feel like, they voted for something and then they see the ramifications of what that vote meant and what the consequences of coming with that vote is. And now some people like to say, I didn't vote for this. And it's like, oh no, you did. You absolutely did. And I feel like Firecracker's kind of in that same boat by blindly following Homelander through and through. Now she's kind of coming to the realization of, oh wow, I've literally destroyed my entire personality and who I am and what I stand for, what I was raised to believe, in favor of this godforsaken lunatic who just wants to become invincible. It's very telling. It's very poignant. And also it's just very relevant, as this show tends to continue to be, even as satirical as it is on the superhero genre. The fact that it plays with the themes of reality in a way, and the fact that it was even written long before any of this shit was even going on, is just hilarious to me. Also, you want some knee pads? Because you look like you're gonna a hog. That's all I got.
First off, that entire scene was just listen, Jess Eccles as Soldier Boy, I think it's probably one of the best castings for this show. Even to point out that we're gonna get him in his own show without Rising. But I want to talk about really the surrounding story of aside from the minuscule of the dog and Black Noir and all the other characters and everything, that we're actually getting, more deeper understanding of Soldier Boy, and Homelander as they're going to LA, and we basically have some type of meta commentary on life with actual actors and some producers playing themselves. But J King, what was your thoughts of the cameos we got in here? But not just any cameos, but eventful, story beats that we have to go through, literally.
All I just gotta say is, sorry, folks, Invincible was canceled. Oh, sorry, no, but I mean, just having people like Seth Rogen and Kumail Nanjiani show up in there was definitely, I'd say, a big just what the hell. But when you stop and think about it, especially what these guys are saying, like it makes so much sense as to why specifically you have these guys here. Not just because of the fact that Seth Rogen is also producing The Boys like he does Invincible while voicing Alan in Invincible, but just the fact of like, again, so much of this stuff continues to remain timely and are imitating life and all of that. It's just funny the way they did it, but it also makes a lot of sense how they did it, especially when you have a Soldier Boy and Homelander come in here. There's a lot I could say about it, but I'm still processing that at this exact moment. Just that whole entire scene.
A part of me, I felt there's also still a lingering thing going on with Soldier Boy about does he actually care about Homelander or does he not? Does he not care if this person live or die? That is his son biologically, right? But only time will tell. But then we actually see the moment where he could have left him to die, just like he did, in the previous episode, in the hangar. And he's like, he's my screw up. Nobody. Now, I think it's also hilarious that again, there's also meta jokes about in the comics about when Soldier Boy woke up out of his coma, he's like, "Did you fuck me?" And you're like, "What? No." But then in this episode, he made the line, "Nobody fucks my son but me." That didn't sound right.
That came out wrong.
Right. And how we have all these cameos of these different actors coming through, Seth Rogen and them. Well, also we have this former A-Train character. What was his previous name?
Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marathon.
But I thought, again, even though we had this small cameo, again, it was for fun. I think it was just for fun for also the showrunners too, bring all these supernatural people back together just for one episode, and ridiculousness, but also wasn't distracting in ways like, wait, what, this a whole different show? No, this is the same vein. LA actors and all that stuff, drugs, all of it. Mm-hmm. Hey, we should make a post. Let's put a black card, a black picture with that. But no, Black Lives Matter got that. No, what's purple? What's this? Oh, it's taken. Oh man, showing solidarity to corporations only to get their gain in terms of their survival and also their social status, right? But aside from that, again, I want to know your thoughts on J. King with Firecracker. There was that, I thought, first of all, the actress, I think this is her best episode that I think she's given this in the season 5 and season 4, my personal opinion, because this is like revealing the layers of her, not just kind of being this type of archetype of white conservative, Christian, influencer, right-wing influencer, and in the far extremes of it, right? But to the point of this, of that, hey, no, even though she might be stupid, whatever, at some points, but internally she is, she does care about Christ, but she's compromised even with her own pastor, and then to a point where she had to throw him under the bus just for that, and then she's breaking down in that tear, crying. Well, I just want to know what are your guys' thoughts in terms of that's where, again, it's happening in real time what's going on here, and it's unfortunately scary, but I think it's very interesting that this entire time that we're slowly starting to see the grift get revealed, for a lot of these people, you know what I mean? And again, regardless of your political affiliation, people are grifting on all sides here. They're grifting liberals, all of it. This is because, again, it's about corporate greed and profit. Again, if I can make money off of it, it doesn't matter if I'm telling the truth or not. And I think with this, it's just showing kind of the humanity of all of us, even to some people on the opposing side that we may not agree with, that like, no, they're human too, and they know that they're full of it. They know that this is wrong, and then they make a decision. And I thought, again, not trying to go down the religious route, but just of her having the little Jesus and throwing it in the trash. That was at that moment when you want to call about spiritually, her covering or her protection was like, oh yeah, all right, you chose what you want to do. All right, go ahead. And then instantly walk into quote unquote her false god or modern day pharaoh, what you want to call it. In this again scripture, you guys understand, but yeah, it just seemed like it was just the way that was directed in terms of her last scene as she throw away the little Jesus into trash. It was just symbolic, just in terms of also what people are doing. They're giving up their faith for the griff. They give up their faith for and morals or integrity, whatever you want to call it, whatever they true values that they stand on that keep them, center as being just a decent human being. They're giving that away because they've chosen their new god, metaphorically and literally. Well, in this case, but yeah, I want to know your thoughts, Phil, on even the minute stories you got of Butcher's dog and among other things and everything. It's just black noir. What was your thoughts on that? The Deep, all of it.
The Deep is an ass clown. There's no other way to spin that. That dude is a fucking chump. He is sucking off Homelander like nobody's business because he is just that much of a bitch made, right? And what he does to Black Noir and that director, rest in peace. I think the actor's last name is Burke, but he's in the universe. He makes this Dawn of the Seven movie or whatever, and like, he's a prominent background character, and the fact that he got an eel up his ass, and that's the way he goes out, is just such a like, damn, that's a damn shame. It's like a nice little Pulp Fiction reference there for you folks, but man, I can't lie. J. King and I were sitting there kind of flabbergasted and kind of sad at the fact this man who's been here the entire time and even had a cameo in Gen V, and now all of a sudden he's gone because he had, the unfortunate accident of having an eel climb up his ass and eat out his intestines.
I'm just trying to remember that.
I'm just so I can't unsee it. You cannot unsee an eel go up a grown man's ass. It's so horrifying and funny at the same time because, again, an eel up a man's ass. Like, Kripke, you just know how to make me laugh, dude. But when Noir finds it, Noir holds him dying in his arms, and he's like, yo, what the fuck, dude? And the Deep tries to pull Billy Badass on Noir, and it's just like, man, if there's someone who really deserves some comeuppance and when this is all said and done, I hope it's the Deep. I really hope Noir just does something super fucked to him, because what he did to that director was absolutely wrong. You never put an eel up a man's ass. That is just not okay. This is not a watch. This is not a sex toy. This is a fucking eel, a live animal, a live mammal, a fucking aquatic creature. And you sent it up this man's ass because he didn't like your improv. That's petty bitch territory right there, my friends. That is not okay. You do not put an eel up a man's ass. No, sir. And then, everything with Terror was just like, hey, you wanna fuck me? Like, he was just visualizing just boning Homelander in a turkey thigh. Oh my God. But all that, and even Butcher finally kind of caving in and being like, yeah, if you want some V1 for Kimiko and Annie, fine, you can have some. But there's a part of me that's like, there ain't no fucking way Butcher's gonna do that. But if he does, good on him. At this point, it's like a 50-50 of will he, won't he. So, I like this episode a lot. I thought it was really well done, well paced, well executed in more ways than I can count. It just felt like something was swimming up my ass like an eel. I was just overjoyed, like a hero-gasm, if you will.
You just had to say that, didn't you?
Of course I did.
God damn.
You don't put an eel up a man's ass unless justified, and the Deep was not justified. No,
this is gonna haunt me. That's just gonna continue to haunt me for like a week now. Just that image of the eel Fuck you.
Up the ass,
Fuck
yeah,
you.
because you don't
Fuck
put
you,
an
the
eel up
deep.
a man's.
Fuck you, deep. But no, I also will say, like, just this episode, this was a really, like, I know a lot of people were giving crap about last week's episode, but I say this one also is my favorite so far within this season, just because it's like you took the time to, again, outside of terror, but even there was some, nice character stuff for, our main group. You basically followed the seven, you know, throughout an entire day, and just all of them, like, they're all broken or they're all crazy. Like, I'd say the Deep and Sage are all in crazy factor, because it's like, even though I understand Sage, and when we go over her backstory with her grandmother and her parents, at the end of the day, while you can understand it, the fact that she actually wants to use the soup virus to get rid of everyone and leave her be the only person, which can only work if Homelander does not get the V1, is absolute insanity. And I hope it backfires in her face immensely. But also, I will say, after this episode, I kind of have a feeling that Black Noir might change. Like, there might be a small chance he actually, maybe not join our main group, but definitely will do something to put the Deep 6 feet under. And you know what? When that happens, I will give him a standing ovation, because you do not put an eel up a man's ass like that. You do not. That was what I've seen a lot of shit in this show, and that's one of the worst deaths out there.
Yeah, because the line of him saying how crazy he's gonna go to this, that's out of the window with what comes with the boys and stuff. But I really intrigued to see how this is going to, transpire as people of the seven. It's now dwindling, and also by the numbers, even and as we're getting close to this ending of the show, we're kind of unraveling these personalities, even going on with Sister Sage and her motivation, what's going on. And that's what, and especially with conversation with Ashley, like there's definitely some seeds that are being planted. And I felt this was just a good kind of deconstruction of these characters in a personal way, but also timely in a way where it's like, this could have been easily like hour three, like 2 or 3 hour episode, just kind of like spending a lot of time on stuff that's unnecessary. But no, I felt, aside from like, yeah, even the dog and Everett, comedic humor and stuff like that, but I even feel that the Black Noir one was actually meaningful, because again, like, mind you, this is the same actor that played Black Noir since day one, but even though it's a different character that's playing Black Noir, but we're seeing the version of him of now he's being an actor behind the scenes of that, why he's being quiet and why and what he's been dealing with too. When we know this dude can fly, after last season, right? He can do all this, and then him and the Deep going butting heads and stuff. So I'm intrigued to see this though. But I didn't know your final thoughts. Again, it just really of now the death of Firecracker, what possibly will lead to maybe explain that, hey, it's maybe one of the boys or Starlighters killed her or something, or it just, oh yeah, she has been demoted.
Knowing them, I know, especially given the timeliness of her throwing her her old pastor under the bus, I definitely think it's going to be like, oh, Starlighters retaliated because they got rid of one of their great leaders and they killed her on her way back to the tower when she wasn't looking and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that's how next week's episode is going to open up, is just the bullshit story that they decide to spin about why she's gone, even though everyone else in the tower will probably know why. And I'm pretty sure even Butcher and them will start to question that's fake as shit. Like I see that being how next week's episode opens up, with just that. But also, yeah, Firecracker, best episode, and sadly her last. R.I.P. You did your thing there. And that thing was provide the milk.
Yeah. Jesus. Christ. When she comes in and sees Homeboy filling up the milk for Homelander, I was just like, there is never a moment when the milk is used in this show that just leaves my jaw on the floor every single time, because you just can't help but just, because when you see it, you know full well what it's going to be for, and it's like but when it comes to the death of Firecracker, I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. You threw your pastor under the bus, and now you kind of paid the price. Jesus looked down on you and said, to hell with you, lady. But it's unfortunate. I mean, she clearly had some kind of, change of heart to some extent, even though she lied her ass off to Homelander there at the end. And it's like, did you really think that you were gonna like be able to persuade him and not do something to you? Like King was talking about how she should have just taken the fucking L and walked away. But you fuck with the bull, you get the horns, just saying, or in this case, you get the eagle.
He said you're fired. He said you're fired and get out. And I was like, girl, just leave.
And he kept pushing them and stuff. I remember when in it Welcome to Derry, remember when the daughter, when he said, hey, I gotta go. No, Pennywise, you can't leave. You can't leave.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta go. No,
Mhm.
leave. And then she touched him. It's like, okay.
Yep.
All right.
It was exactly like that. It was
Mhm.
exactly
No.
like that.
But yeah, other than that, this is a great episode. Again, we on episode 5. We're almost there, y'all. We got at least
3 more episodes
left, y'all.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're almost there. Home stretch. Let's get it, y'all. All right, y'all. Make sure you subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And make sure you hit notification bell and check all subscription for Phil's channel down in the description box below. Subscribe to his channel. And we'll see you guys next video. Peace.